Okay, so to continue from where we were with our messages about water and the new moon and the divine feminine and the aspects of the yin of the body through this beginning season of spring, we're going to move also into pulling in a card that is representative of children and the inner child and our soul, our creativity, which is the yang in a lot of ways, the yang aspect in the yin yang relationship. And partly why we're going to work more deeply with this concept is because also this card, when you read the deeper explanation of it, begins to talk about the creative aspects and how creativity sources from within water and the spark and of creativity and that type of thing. So it spoke quite clearly to me around shifting the energy into the bagua or the quadrant in the wheel of life associated with the inner child and creativity. And so from, again, the bigger spread that we'll talk more about in subsequent readings, and that the archetype or the energy that's representing that inner child creativity, this actually can be children also, if any of this is resonating for you regarding children. But this is I like to really consider this and think of this much more from the perspective of your inner child or your creative aspect, thinking about this as the spark that begins many things. So to get a little bit more information and clarity on this card and the idea of the lost compass, getting back to integrity. So this is speaking around aspects of with our creativity, with our inner child, really being true to ourselves. Where are we getting our guidance from? Where's our inner compass? Where's our integrity? How are we making our decisions? What's the foundational pieces? What are the commitments? What are the principles? What are the fundamentals that we are living by, that we are making our decisions around? So we're going to get a little bit more information about how that's playing in here for anybody who is finding these messages coming across their feed right now. So show me more information around the lost compass, around creativity, inner child, how are decisions being made? Show me. Now this deck that I'm using here is the Queen of the Moon Oracle. Show me lost compass. Give me information on the lost compass. Okay, so here we are working with the Queen of the Moon, working with this idea of our creativity, our inner child, the spark of new things, new ideas. And where's that spark coming from? Where are we orientating to? What's orientating us into those sparks? So like, is that money? Is it recognition? Is it success? What is in many ways driving us, not motivating us, inspiring us? Where's that creative spark coming from us? And so what we've got here is we've got the card of protection and a waning crescent. So protection Very interesting. It's like a nest with a bird and a lady in there. So this was reversed. So we're going to see this, like, I'm going to let this feel into this a little bit. But this is a little bit, to me, like the idea of not acting from fear, you know, not feeling like we have to protect ourselves, because we are protected. So let's keep kind of feeling into what's going on here and see. We also have another reversed card on abundance. And this is the Hunter Moon. So this is more like full moon in the fall. We've got some horns, some deer. We got a lot of animals around a red-robed woman who looks very rich and abundant and prosperous. And so here, you know, it's abundance. She looks a lot like the Empress if we were when we look at the tarot, to me. So she's also in a reversed state. So to me, I'm not getting a ton on this right now, but we'll wait and see what we begin to see here. The only upright card we have is the Thunder Moon, and it is a card around change. And I'm just looking at these seagulls that are flying around a woman whose skirt is blowing, and there's a lot of electric activity going on between these two planets here. So you know, if we take a look at this in this context of the idea of what motivates us, what I'm really getting out of this here is that, you know, the person that this reading is for is no longer motivated by safety. They're no longer motivated by playing by the rules. They're no longer motivated by doing it the way it's supposed to be done, playing it safe, being protected because of the actions that they've taken. So they're no longer inspired or motivated by playing by the rules, by playing it safe. The other thing that they're sharing with me here is that this person is no longer actually really motivated by abundance either. So not really motivated by just accumulating abundance and outward shows of prosperity. They're looking for a really different way of experiencing that. So I would almost say that my sense on this is that they actually have already experienced a certain level of abundance, and therefore are, you know, there is a certain amount of safety and protection, but it's not a requirement for them. So they're not motivated and inspired to earn more money, and they're also not motivated or inspired because they require protection, or they don't feel safe, or they feel like they need to make things better for their own stability or safety. So to me, the person that this reading is really pertaining to, when we're talking about you know, this aspect of the inner child, what are they creating? How are they going to find the next thing that they want to create? What are they going to, where's their inspiration? Is that there's change, right? There's this aspect of change, and not change for the sake of safety, not change for the sake of financial abundance or prosperity, but change for the sake of inspiration, change for the sake of feeling alive, change for the sake of being in the cycle and in the flow of life, and feeling like there's a really good balance between the masculine and the feminine, between the creative and the action, between the substance and the function in your life, between whatever those things that can look like opposites are, and allowing this change to actually begin to create flow that just clears the obstacles, because you're drinking water, you're exercising, you're meditating. This is allowing your body to interact with the aspects of the environment that then begin to inspire you to create changes, not from a place of needing to worry about your health or longevity or safety or needing to be protected, and not from a place of needing to collect more abundance or prosperity or be financially motivated, but from a place of being motivated by feeling inspired, being motivated by really interacting with that spark of life, really understanding where your heart, where that spark of life is guiding you to go. Lovely. Lovely, lovely. So the third card that comes from that creativity and inner child quadrant of the Bagua for the spring of 2023 is a card that speaks to the practice of breath work or pranayama. And so this card speaks to actually beginning to incorporate structured breath work into your meditation practice, or beginning to just work with your breath with awareness and consciousness. So we are also going to work with this card and get a little bit more information about these aspects of wellness. And we are going to continue to actually use the Queen of the Moon oracle for that. So show me more on pranayama. Show me pranayama. Show me pranayama. So from a physiological perspective, as a doctor of traditional Chinese medicine and working through on my PhD of integrative medicine, what I see here is a very interesting connection in the physiology of the breath, the parasympathetic and the nervous system, parasympathetic and the sympathetic nervous systems, the yin and the yang. And the way that the breath is actually one of the most powerful mechanisms we actually have to bringing those two branches of the nervous system into the correct balance for what's actually occurring in our environment presently. So that is also part of what I'm seeing in this spread here, is this aspect of that yin-yang balance, that parasympathetic, sympathetic nervous system balance. And so that is also this place where when the parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous systems are in balance, even when we do come up against things, they don't really seem that big. If we're reacting to stuff, chances are that we are in an elevated nervous system state, or we're locked into a fight or flight nervous system state. And so, the actions of exercise, the action of meditation and prayer, the action of drinking water, those all actually help our body shift really smoothly between those two states of fight or flight, or, actually out of fight or flight and into rest and digest, or just looking at how are the two nervous systems sitting and operating together. So the breath is actually one of our most powerful tools to actually having the parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous systems begin to work together and balance and bring us into a much better space from a physiological perspective. So we're going to get some more information here on that breath work. One card already popped out here. Show me pranayama. Show me more on pranayama. Show me pranayama. Okay, so under breath work, here what we have is wisdom, gratitude, and surrender in reverse. So one of the things that I'm noticing on this gratitude card is the appearance of the elderliness of this hand. And so to me, this is also speaking around longevity. We also see this youth in the background. So to me, this is speaking about longevity and vitality. So one of the great, just leave that one up there. Wisdom and surrender. And so that surrender in reverse is very interesting because it also is in alignment here with the change. So it's almost like kind of saying like surrendering to the changes. But, you know, the opposite of surrender, if we go back to our nervous system analogies here, we have fight, flight, charm, and disarm, or befriend, you know, depending on what resource you're using. And to me, this surrender is a little bit like that because, you know, fight, flight is get away. And surrender can be like when we collapse or almost like when we befriend. And to me, this is almost like neither one of those spaces, right? Because it's reversed. And so I think to me, this is talking about that space where we are actually popping right out of fight or flight. So we're not even befriending. There's actually no reaction from the nervous system, and the nervous system is in a neutral state of being with everything that is around us. So to me, that's a little bit what this is talking about, is that, you know, when we get to this piece around the breath work and we begin to use things like box breathing, when we begin to actually really just bring our awareness to what the breath is feeling like as it's moving in and out of our bodies. Simple pieces of breath work actually begin to reprogram the brain and the nervous system and make it a lot easier for us to actually feel gratitude. And gratitude is, from a longevity perspective around health, a huge factor in determining how long you're going to live. And gratitude and wisdom go hand in hand. And that's kind of part of the idea of, we don't often see really happy old people that aren't also wise, right? We don't say, oh, that miserable old wise guy. Very seldom. You know, so I think there's some aspects here around the idea of wisdom and gratitude and longevity and vitality of life, and also the and also the pieces around not collapsing, not fighting, not flighting, not befriending, but just being. Right? The aspect even of not even surrendering, just of being and just of accepting, and that piece around the breath. Because in this space, we actually can allow sort of that change for those sparks to come. And so now that we've kind of got that brief overview going on, let's take a look at what the tarot has to say. And so from a tarot perspective, I'm using the Good Tarot by Colette Baron-Reid. All right, so sometimes hard to shuffle all those cards at once. So we've got a lot of 20s in here showing up too. Okay. So I want to know a little bit more about some of these obstacles and blocks that we might be looking at over the next new moon cycle here. Even though they're going to be lifted, let's see if we can get a little bit more information about that. Right, that will help us know possibly about the change and the breath work. For some of you, this actually feels a little bit like some timed cardio. When we begin to look at these patterns in some different places and we see this exercising, this idea of the lost compass and the breathing. All of a sudden, this lost compass, is looking a little bit almost like a Fitbit or an exercise monitor. And so there's this aspect also here of like really getting back into exercise and the measurement of it and understanding the measurements, understanding how to orientate and how to get from point A to point B without a map. So there's some aspects that are kind of showing up in here around doing something differently than you've done it before, finding a different way of orientating. So there could be some places where for some of you, this is a recovery or a return to health that you're really looking at trying to make, and that you're trying to make this return to health or this recovery, this recommitment to your health. Not from a place of fear and not from a place of wanting to look a certain way, but much more from a perspective of wanting to make a change around your relationship with your body. So we're going to go into reading a little bit more deeply here, pulling out the tarot. And let's kind of see what's been going on here with obstacles and blocks. So this reading, this new moon cycle may really be a lot about like actual health and wellness cycles, exercise routines, diets, things that you've started before, but your motivation has really changed. There's a change in the reason why you want to do it. And the change in the reason why you want to do it is that it's not so much about the outward appearances and feeling safe in your appearance as much as it is around wanting to live a longer, happier, healthier life. Wanting to live a life where you have time to breathe, wanting to live a life where you have time to read books on boats. Okay, let's kind of see again where this obstacles and blocks are lifted. All right, so we've got the Magician in reverse, 10 of Earth, and 3 of Air. Oh, I'd forgotten that these ones did that, so we will definitely need to use their little book. Just trying to avoid that. All right, so we've got the Magician in reverse. Now this deck, she actually speaks specifically to the fact that she is not working with reversed messaging. So what we'll take that, we'll kind of take that with us as we work with that. So, let's pop that on over here and let's look at this. This is our Magician. So the Magician is the second card in the Major Arcana. And to me, the Magician is, it's when the Fool has learned enough lessons, when the Fool has gained enough wisdom, they become a magician. And they are able to work with the elements and the world around them and make it look very easy to get what they want sometimes. So this is, this is about that idea where we were saying when there's water, where there's movement, where there's meditation and focus. The obstacles, maybe not the ones we want, but there is no way that there can't be change and flow and movement. And so things will begin to move and change as of their own accord, just like magic. So some of this is again, this idea of seeing those obstacles move out of your way almost like magic. It being easier, it being different. And part of why it's easier and different is because your motivation, your reason for doing it is changing. And one of the major tools is understanding the role of breath work, but also the role of being grateful for where you are right now, the wisdom that you've gained in the past through the many times of looking at this pattern or this habit or this obstacle that you've done, and the place of just being in a spot of surrendering to it just being, not giving up, not giving in, but also not fighting. All right, so we also now are seeing the 10 of Earth and the 3 of Air on there. So 10 of Earth. I think Earth pertains into pentacles or coins. So this is like, what do we have to show for things? So this is a lot about like our material wealth, our abundance, our mastery, financial security, inheritance, knowledge, affluence. So even though we're saying down here that you're really motivated by the outward expression of what, this habit, this pattern, this wellness piece that you want to work with, that you're much more inspired by the idea of a long, happy life. There is also this aspect in obstacles saying around financial abundance, right? Saying that some of the obstacles that you worry about that get in your way, that keep you from acting in accordance with this, are around abundance. Even though your magician is showing up here saying things are going to show up like magic, we still have this idea around abundance showing up. All right, and then we got the 3 of Air. Now, again, not a traditional tarot deck here, or even 5 elements from a traditional Chinese medicine perspective. But the 3 of Air, to me, I think that's probably 3 of Wands. And in some ways, what I'm seeing here is like an extension of this magician. So maybe in the past, as part of this patterning that we're working on, that you're looking at what inspires you to change this rather than being safe and that type of thing. It feels almost like in this case, in the past, this was something that you were able to use money, to use financial abundance, to use prosperity as a tool with it. And that now, that as a way of making these obstacles go away, it's not working like magic anymore. So it's not as easy to handle the obstacles in the way of your personal health and wellness goals and in the way of you having this happy, healthy life by just being prosperous and having money and being abundant. Okay, and so in the 3 of Air, there is an aspect of, not always getting what we want. the silver linings, the unanswered prayers. So just again, this actually comes back down again to this idea of gratitude. That's essentially what they're talking about, right? Is the things that happen to us that we have to really work hard to find the aspects of gratitude for. So here we've got this idea of these obstacles, possibly obstacles that you used to be able to use money to get through, and what used to work isn't working anymore, and that's a good thing, right? Because in some ways this aspect of not being able to handle this situation with the ease, by using prosperity and abundance, it's actually forcing you down into this aspect around the gratitude, right? Because in all honesty, when we talk about the unanswered prayers, what we really are talking about is gratitude. So again, here we're seeing this idea of gratitude being the thing that's actually going to help us understand our inspiration and our reasons for staying committed to and making the decisions to take the actions that we have committed to in regards to our health and our wellness, and making those important and making those our priority, because of gratitude and longevity and happy, healthy life, rather than feeling abundant and feeling safe. So what this is really speaking towards is maybe not even very much of an outward change right away, as much as the inward change as to why are the actions being taken, what is inspiring the actions. So the actions might not even change. It's a little bit like the Buddhist proverb that they say, what did you do before enlightenment? Chopped wood, carried water. What did you do after enlightenment? Chopped wood, carried water. The outward expression did not change, but the way, the inspiration, the spark, the source of the expression changed. And to me, that's what I'm really seeing happen here. Let's see if there's any more information on these ones. Okay. Show me more. Show me more and change. Show me more and change. Let's see if we can get a little bit more information on this change card. Change. Change. All right, we have Ace of Air, 5 of Water, and 7 of Water. So here we've got that water showing up really strongly, that water element showing up. And we've also got 2 mermaids. So we've at least got 3 mermaids here showing up in our reading. And a unicorn, maybe a Pegasus. So we've got some very interesting energy here showing up on that change card, that idea of the thunder moon. So, midsummer, summertime. Okay, so we've got this idea of synchronicities, things just kind of coming together and happening. Destiny and fate, karma. So, you know, again, this idea of change, things are just happening. It's almost like the change is inevitable. The change is, it's not a question of if the change is going to be happening. The change is happening. The question is more in the cards here around how do you approach the change? What foundations, what platforms, what understandings, what beliefs are you aware of that are actually you're using as your touch points, as your places of integrity, as your ways of understanding yourself in this change that is inevitably coming, it's kind of like you're preparing for an inevitable change. It's destiny, it's fate, it's karma. It's bigger than this lifetime from what I would say from seeing here. Okay, and so then we've got a lot of emotion going on here with this 5 of water, releasing grief, allowing sadness to rise and fall, forgiveness, the ebb and flow of emotion, right? So we've got this idea of fate, karma, this change that is inevitable. There's nothing that can be done to avoid this this big change, this upheaval. What can be done is that it can be prepared for. Your body can be strong. You can be grateful. You can be in a space of acceptance. You can understand that money isn't going to make the problem go away easily like it has in the past. And look at it from a perspective of feeling whatever feelings begin to come up, because that's part of what is driving this whole thing. That's part of this change, is the idea of the emotions that it makes you look at and see. And we got a little seahorse on here, so that might mean something to some of you. We've got a beautiful little seahorse with the mermaid. We've also got this Pegasus, if any of these images speak to you individually. But again, very much here this idea of just forgiveness and movement and allowing all of that to just come up and be. Because through that is where this idea of the creativity is again coming full circle. Because we started with the idea of creativity in our water goddess, which is what had brought us into the creativity Bagua of the spring spread, and the idea of the compass. How are we orientating ourselves? How are we finding ourselves? Do we know where we're going? How are we getting from point A to point B? And the idea that there is a very big change in how you orientate and understand where you fit into the world that is coming, that is no longer coming from an idea of am I safe, am I abundant, and much more orientating to an aspect of am I co-creating, does this feel good, am I happy? Am I healthy? Am I working towards a longevity? Do I have vitality? Am I getting everything that I wanted, not just the ability to have and do and look in a certain way? Am I in alignment with myself? Am I able to breathe? So there's a really big aspect in here around being able to breathe again. Feeling like that's actually, you know, an important aspect, an important part. We were talking here about this line in here around some kind of a cardio challenge, possibly training for a race, mountain climbing. It does look like definitely using measurements in a different way also, whether and using different measurements in a different way than you have before. I'm just going to continue on here. We're going to pull another 3 cards. And the 3 cards that we're going to pull next are actually going to be around this concept of surrender. Show me surrender. Show me surrender. Show me surrender. Yes. Okay. Here we have love. 3 of fire. So we've got the little passion showing up in there. And a messenger of earth. And a very feminine card. Very feminine card. So this was all around that idea with the breath and wanting to be able to breathe again, wanting to be happy, wanting to be healthy, wanting to feel like there's longevity, experiencing gratitude, leading to wisdom. And then we got to have this surrender in reverse. And that surrender in reverse, you know, we were talking about that from that perspective of acceptance, but we were also talking about that from that space of the nervous system being really in a really neutral space, right? Where the breath can bring it to that space and where it can just hang out there, where rest does not befriend, right? We have a lot of chatter around post-traumatic stress and complex PTSD, and those are real things. And that's, you know, that's a little bit what we're talking about, in that the fact that resting is not being in the other side of fight or flight, right? Resting is not befriending. That's not the same thing. So this is, I think, around really the aspect of just being, accepting, and resting. Can your nervous system just come into a space of non-engagement? And so we're going to look at that. And we're going to look at this. The cards showing up here are very interesting just from a color perspective. If I look at that, it's a very blue and green up here. And then these ones are pinks and yellows. And so this love is really speaking a lot to the idea of oneness, right? As we're talking about the fact that, like, to me, this card is speaking about the truest sense of rest, which is also that truest sense of oneness, the place where we truly understand that there is no separation, that there is no time, that there is no space, that we are all one. We are different expressions of one consciousness. That's resting, right? So there's this aspect of, like, where is the substrate? Where is the bare bones, the foundation, the place where there is no engagement by the nervous system in response to an environmental stimulus? And then looking at that idea of the 3 of fire in relation to that. So here we have that fire element, which is, again, very yang. It's like the other side of resting. And let's just kind of take a look at what we are going to say about the 3 of fire here. Expansion of opportunities, the fullness of creativity and achievement. So we're back into this idea of a creativity and the expression of creativity, and where is it coming from? And here we're seeing this idea of, like, oh, this new creativity is coming from a place of not even befriending, but of nothingness and love and passion. Achievement, the fullness of creativity, of just allowing ourselves to co-create. And then let's take a look at this messenger of earth. Because to me, that earth is very much around that idea of the manifestation. So here we're looking at, like, how is all of this going to actually manifest? Hardworking, proceeding with integrity, perseverance, and grit. prudent and careful efforts, thoroughness, industriousness, stamina, and dedication. So what are you committed to, right? What's going to actually show up? Where are you going to put your efforts? Where are you going to put those day-to-day efforts? And how's that going to manifest and show up? How are you coming from a place of love rather than a place of nervous system and survival? And allowing this change that is actually like over lifetimes karmic to bring you into this place of actually being able to root in and ground and create a very different physical health reality for yourself over the next definitely over the next 4 weeks to 3 months. And that the major takeaways from that are that idea of 2 liters of water, 25 minutes of movement. These are minimums kind of thing. And, check with your doctor and all of that type of stuff at the same time. Making sure you're meditating, understanding and allowing the space and not being upset when a big change comes that really flips your understanding for yourself of what's important to you, what keeps you going, what keeps you motivated, what inspires you, what's going to make you fly. And concentrating on your breath, using meditation, using breath work in order to really tap into aspects of longevity, aspects of wisdom, of gratitude that allow these changes that are coming because of karma to be changed, right? That's part of the other thing, is that karma happens so that we have the opportunity to apply the wisdom that we've gained and change the way that karma is expressing through our physical bodies. So this is a really beautiful spread around really looking at using love and passion as the foundation for the manifestation of your physical body, and doing that over the next few weeks just by kind of concentrating on, am I drinking enough water? Am I getting a short brisk walk in every day? Am I paying attention to my breath and my thoughts for short periods of time each day? What's important to me? What am I creating? Let me know if you have any questions. Please give me any comments that you have. Again, this is a reading for the new moon in April, and general instructions for, general foresight for the next 4 weeks or so. I will be doing another one of these around the full moon in a couple of weeks. Please be gentle. This is my first public reading of this type, and let me know what you liked. Let me know what other kinds of information you may be interested in my trying to get on this. Yeah, I'm looking forward to your feedback. Hope you are well. Hope you are happy. And it looks like from your spread that you're definitely working in that direction. Love to you all. Take care.